Welcome to RickRackRuby. I'm Laura Kluvo. Today we'll make this Snowbaby Christmas ornament embellished with vintage lace, buttons, and trim. Let's get started. To make our vintage lace holiday Snowbaby ornament, start with a 5-inch square of cotton knit fabric. This is just t-shirt knit. It's more stretchy from side to side than it is top to bottom, so fold it in half, matching the sides, and seam it up with a 1/4-inch seam allowance. Then with a doubled strand of quilting thread, matching thread, I used off-white for my Snowbaby, but of course you can use white. Just gather up one edge, stitching through a single layer of fabric, double strand of thread, nice knot in the end, go all the way around and secure. This will be the bottom of the Snowbaby. And I'm going to secure that by wrapping around and tie off my thread. Turn it and stuff it with polyfill. That looks fine on the bottom. Since it's so stretchy, it's easy to overstuff, but you don't want to make it too big. This is just a little baby. Okay, this is plenty, I can tell. I'm going to leave this little about a 1/4 inch allowance at the top, and I'm going to gather up the top now. Go all the way around through that single layer of fabric. Now before I pull off, I'm going to tuck the seam allowance to the inside, like this. So it's a little bit neat. And then I'll just sew through just to pull it nice and tight, like this. Now before I cut off my thread, I'm going to form the neck. So I'll go down through the center and I'm going to anchor the thread at the back seam. About right here. I don't want to pull too tight. I don't want the top of the head to indent. So I've done 2 stitches to anchor that so that when I pull it doesn't indent the top of the head. Now I'm going to wrap around where I want the neck. That looks about right. Usually if I wrap around twice, that's enough. And I'm pulling it very tightly, tighter than you think, because we are going to create a sort of a lace or a sweater or a fabric sack that's going to go around the bottom part of the Snowbaby. And then we're going to tie a scarf around his neck. I'll show you. See, once you get the lace sack and then the scarf around the neck, it really fills in that space. And if I hadn't pulled that in very tightly, it might just be bulging out, and we don't want that. So this is the back, this is the front of the face. I'm going to indicate, just put some little dots to indicate where the eyes are, which is about halfway, and then the little nose, and then the mouth. You don't want the mouth to be too low or it will be lost behind the scarf. And you don't want the eyes to be too high or they will be lost in the hat. Oh, this is crazy. It's a pro tip from Ruby. This is some dark eyeshadow. It actually says liner. So this is eyeliner. And I'm gonna make a deep smudge of this dark product. You can also find just dark black or gray eyeshadow. I know it seems crazy, but I like to imagine that these little beads, these are 5mm round beads, were pieces of coal that, or charcoal even, that the charcoal would rub off into the snow and create sort of a shadow. And that's what I'm trying to create there. So with a double strand of black quilting thread, I will sew on the eyes. pull this eye way into the face, more than you think that you want it to go. And I'm going to secure each eye. In other words, I'm not going to sew across from eye to eye. I'm going to secure each eye, and see how that's dented far into the face. Now for my second eye, I'm going to do it the same way. And again, I'll pull it way in so that it creates this indentation. And I'll secure that thread at the top of the head. The top of the head will be concealed by a hat, so you don't have to worry too much about being neat. I also want to be careful not to get any of that eyeshadow product on my fingers. Okay, you can see already that the smudges they're not that obvious. Now I'm going to come back and add some eyebrows. Eyebrows give a lot of personality to a little character like this. Don't pull the eyebrows tight. Just let that one stitch rest on the surface of the face. And then I'm going to secure it at the top. And then the second eyebrow in the same way. That's really cute and whimsical. That's what I like. I have orange thread for this little carrot nose. It's a triangle. I'm going to try to make a traditional snowman face with a little carrot nose. I have 2 strands of orange embroidery floss. I'm doing a satin stitch. That's cute, it's a little bit crooked. Now for the mouth, we'll use 2 strands of red embroidery floss, and I'm going to do a fly stitch, which is very easy. So we'll start over here underneath one of the eyes. That looks good. And then reinsert the needle over here underneath the opposite eye. And then go through, come out below the nose, catching that loop. And then go in just below the thread. Secure it, and then you have a little V. That purple dot will disappear because I use a disappearing marker, so don't worry about that. And then for the finishing touch on the face, we'll blush the cheeks. There we go. The next step is to make the lace little sack for his body. I've chosen this all over lace. This pattern reminded me of holly leaves, so that's why I chose it. And it's a 5 3/4 inch circle. I'm just going to gather this up. Now I'll put the little snow baby inside the little lace sack, pull up the gathers. It fits just right. I'll kind of distribute the gathers evenly so there's not a big clump in one spot. But this looks pretty good. Then I'll secure the thread in the back. And remember, this doesn't have to be perfect. Now let's sew a couple of buttons on the front. The buttons don't have to match. In fact, I like when they don't. So I'm going to do 1 2-hole button and 1 4-hole button. Don't want them up too high or they will be obscured by the scarf, but I do like them up kind of high. Don't pull those too tightly. They don't need to dent in, and they don't have to be centered, and they don't have to be right on top of each other. Just a little bit more fun if they're off and they're a little whimsical. Tie it off securely in the back. Now for the hat. I've made many dozens of these with sweaters, with the cuffs and the bottom edge, the ribbing from sweaters. But I was in Hobby Lobby and I discovered with the ribbons in the fabric department, this product, which is kind of like sweater ribbing that you can buy 2 yard of it for $6.99. So of course I got white and off-white. You'll need 4 inches for the hat. The finished edge will be sort of like the brim of the hat, and the unfinished edge will be the top. 4 inches is going to be just right for this. I'll fold it right sides together, and then I'm going to stitch across here. But remember, just go straight up for about 1/2 inch and then cut over. You don't want this long point in the back. You just want it to go around like a circle. There we go. I've sewn it and trimmed the seam allowance, and you can see how I went straight and then I curved over, and you'll see when I put the hat on it, it's just a really cute shape. I'll use a needle to pull that point out. Here we go. I'll try it on. It's going to be great, but before I put it on and sew it, I'm going to add a pom-pom to the top. I'll secure the knot on the inside of the hat. These are nice cotton pom-poms. You can use any kind you like though. You can make these in any color. They don't have to be vintage. You can make the sack out of fabric. You can make the hat out of a red color. Pom-pom could be red. Now I'm going to secure my thread back here, and the pom-pom is on the hat. Okay, now let's put the hat on. Get the back lined up here first, okay. Okay, now pull this up so that you can see the eyebrows. And then pull the sides down so they're right next to the cheeks. Takes a little bit of finessing, so you don't want all that showing. So pull the hat down a little closer to the cheeks on the side. And you can see I'm using many pins to get it just right. And now I'm going to secure the hat to the face with a single strand of white quilting thread. I will use this vintage lace for the scarf, about 15 inches. I like to be generous because you can always cut it off. And then I'll trim the streamers into a V. There we go. Cute. Now we have a little embellishment for the hat. I've chosen this little lace flower motif. It's some kind of a nylon lace trim. See, this is the right side. I'm going to glue it right here, and then I'll add one of these snowflake stickers. I think this is the only gluing on this whole project. Whatever side I tie the knot, I add the embellishment to the hat on the opposite side. Then I'll add the hanging loop, and you can use anything you like for the hanging loop. Of course, I'm using a narrow ribbon, but you could use string or cord or baker's twine or embroidery floss, whatever you like. And this snow baby is done. I'll show you his friends. This one, I use 3mm beads and a sort of a blush color embroidery floss for the features. This one's really similar. This is an old sweater that had some little sequins on it, which was a little bit tricky because they wanted to come apart. And then this is the cuff of the sweater, and I used a little fur to embellish the edge of the hat. This one had little teeny eyes and that blush colored floss again. Here's another one with the fur on the brim. This was a upcycled shirt, a lace shirt that somebody donated to me, which I love when I get things from friends. This one has a very glittery snowflake, which is adorable. Thank you for watching my tutorial. If you're enjoying my videos, please like, share, and subscribe.